Okay, so welcome to another episode of On the Bloc podcast. You've got myself, Ryan, head of Bloc Devoir. Today, I'm really grateful to be joined by Darcy. I'll let you introduce yourself, bro.
So my name's Darcy. I'm the founder of a brand called Insubordinate, and I'm from the Midlands, from a little town called Nuneaton. So that is me.
So I know we've got a lot to talk about in terms of your line, so I really want to start there. So for people who don't know your brand, what would you say your brand's about? Where can they find you? What's like your company ethos? What are you going for?
So you can find us on like socials, which is obviously Facebook, Instagram. We've got a bit of a YouTube channel as well. The brand ethos is just about being insubordinate, so going against the normal grain, and that is like in any walk of life. You know, if you drop out of something to start a business, you're insubordinate. If your parents want you to go to college and study law, but you want to do sport, you're insubordinate. So people have think it's just one group of people, but everyone is insubordinate in their own kind of way.
Yeah, I get it, and I think like I've for people who haven't seen your products yet, what would you say? You know, what are your staple pieces? What would you say your product line represents? What would you?
So right now, our product line, if you go onto the website, go on the store, it's very vintagey. We've gone for like the vintage style for this collection. So we've got like really like blues, reds, browns, colours that pop. We've also added like an over dye to each piece, so each piece has its like own nostalgia. It's a new, but it's also old at the same time. And we also make everything in the UK, so we can oversee the whole process. Moving into the year, we're going to be releasing a few like graphic T-shirts and hoodies, and we've got a few like overshirts coming. So we're going to start building the product line up, and we'll start to display more of who we are through the clothing as the year goes on.
So that's what I want to talk about because I know we've had a few chats before and a few conversations, and definitely that made in the UK ethos was something that really stood out to me. I know you mentioned about a couple of the processes you've been through, and I want you to touch on them a bit more because I know you said you're very very hands on and very you like you say you want to know what's going on in the process, and I think people are getting more inclined to want that as a customer. So people like want to know where their garments are made. They want to know like, is this a sustainable process? You know, are they just imported from overseas and with a label on? But I know very well from what you've told me that that's not the case. So
Right.
do you want to have a chat on
Yeah.
that process?
Yeah. So there's a team. Well, I say there's a team. There's two of us. So there's me, myself. I do a lot of the processes, and then I have a guy called Ash. He's like the photographer. You've probably seen him on the Instagram. He does like and he does the graphics as well. But we take the process right back to like the pattern. So we'll go to the pattern lady, which is in Coventry. You know, we'll either take a sample with us of what we've got and put our DNA into it, or we'll literally just go with measurements and be like, this is what we want to make. And then we'll spend like an hour or two there. She'll whip it up on the big machine and stuff. And then we'll go back a week later, go over the pattern, make sure it's correct. Within that time, we'll go to our fabric supplier. He's based in Leicester. In fact, we've got two now. We used to have one. We've actually just took on another one. So we're testing two different cottons. So we've got like a British cotton, and then we're also testing like a Portuguese cotton as well. Different weights, and they dye when you dye them, like they come out slightly different. So we're just trying to test which one's better. So we literally go to the fabric house, and we'll walk around the warehouse, pick out the fabrics. Sometimes he's got the colours we want. Sometimes it's plain. It's like a comes as an off white colour, and that's when we dye it. Uh, so yeah, that's the fabric, and then once we've got the pattern and the fabric right, we'll then go to the factory and start the sampling. Sampling can take anywhere from I've had samples back in 2 days. I've had samples back in 6 weeks. It just kind of depends on how busy the fabric, the the factory is, uh, and then once we've got everything correct, we'll then come back, set everything out. We've got the pictures if it's got graphics on, so we've got all the pictures out, we've got all the samples out, we've got the pattern, so make sure the pattern and the sample actually add up. Once we've like approved everything, and when I mean approved, like if something's out by an inch, it's going back to sampling. If something comes back the wrong color, we'll go back into sampling, then dye it again to make sure we've got the correct color. Uh, Once we've literally signed everything off, at that point we'll then go into production. So we make anywhere when we first started, I think we did about 25 teas, which was really hard to get. And now our quantities have grown. Uh, and then once that's all done, we'll then go to the dye house. Everything will be dyed, go back to the factory, sew all the labels in, and that's when it'll come back to myself, and me and my partner Ash will then shoot everything, do all the videos, we'll get the marketing involved, and then it goes online.
And what for anyone who is sort of looking to start their own clothing line? I mean, don't give any of your trade secrets away here, but like what would you say has been like the toughest thing for you in finding suppliers? Like how long? I know you've told me it's not just been a quick thing for you. It's been a gradual process. So what is your tips on finding suppliers? Tips on reaching out and on sort of timescales? What do you think it's taken you? Because I think some people feel like, oh yeah, it's just I can just make a t-shirt and turn it around in a week, and we both know that is not the case. It's not a screen printing job. So what are your tips on that in terms of suppliers?
In terms of suppliers, I will give a little tip out there. I found a website called Let's Make It Here. So for anyone that's looking to find a factory, there's a tip, and that's exactly where I started. I used to send emails because I thought that was the best way to contact people. In the end, I was ringing people because an email is a bit like a text. You don't know how to take that, how it is. When you actually talk to someone, you can sense, if they want to work with you. If they're
they
busy,
can tell you're serious too.
Yeah, you can really tell like what that person's thinking when talking to them. So we found the fabric supplier on there, went to see him, and then we just got talking, and I said, "Oh, I'm looking for a new factory," and he was like, "Oh, I know this guy, should go and see him." So I picked up 4 meters of this like 100% cotton, like went to the factory, knocked on the door, and he was like, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Well, my name's Darcy. I've got a clothing brand. Can you make some clothes for me?" He said, "Yeah, come in." Had a bit of a meeting, and then I've not been anywhere since. So it's a hard process, and you have to be relentless, like because there's so many people that will say no. Or I was in the process of making some bomber jackets in Birmingham, and we agreed that I'd pay half upfront and then half when it's the production was finished. On the day of the production was meant to start, turned up, and he was like, "I want the full amount." I said, "Well, I haven't got that on me." He said, "Well, I'm not doing them." So I said, "Okay, cool." Left. So there's so many.
Did you get your money back?
I hadn't paid him, but it was literally like paying on that day, and he'll start the production. And so you have to be, keep your wits about people, but then you also like have to trust people until they tell you that you can't trust them, basically. Which is it's really hard.
Yeah, because I guess when you're sort of new in the industry and people have got their own ways of working and stuff, like if they can tell you're new and you may not have shopped around, like they could quickly take advantage of you. So
massive.
I'd say that's definitely a good point that you brought there, is to keep your wits about you, shop about, and then I guess do your research, because like if
research is key. Like I still get people like in my DMs now. I wouldn't even really class myself as a designer yet, because there's still a lot of things that I need to learn myself. But I still get people DMing me like, "Oh, how have you started this?" And it's just sheer like research and not giving up, because people will start something and then expect like 6 or 12 months down the line to make 100 grand. because you've got this clothing brand, and it's not feasible. Like, you don't plant a seed and then dig it up the next day, which sounds really cliche, but it's took me.
It's
This
true.
is going into our 5th year now, and we've only just got to the point where, you know, our clothes are actually at a luxury level. You know, we can oversee the whole process. We can pivot very quickly. You know, and that has taken me and Ash. You know, I know I do a lot of the majority of things, but I couldn't run without him. You know, so yeah, it's took us 5 years to get to this point. You know, and we've had, you know, help along the way, or we wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, I think that that's another good one is having the right people and the right team about you, because I know from running different businesses myself and stuff, it's you can't expect yourself to know everything and be the best at everything. So like you say, with you got Ash on your team, and I'm sure other people have helped you out in the past. I guess that's a good one for people to know, is to, to network, to speak to people that that may be able to lend a hand. Could you help them out? And like it's like I know from working with graphic designers, videographers, music producers, like I can't do any of those skills, but like I know people who can. And
Yeah,
like sometimes it's where you can give your expertise and say, oh, could you help me with this? And I'm sure that's something that you found out, that where your skills are good at in business, but also knowing when you need a hand on some stuff. And I think that
yeah.
that's an important thing too.
I think that takes a while to get to as well, because when you first start, you have this persona that, well, I'll just do everything myself, which I had, but the as the years go on, you do have to let go a little. Like, I've been trying to crack my marketing for probably like 2.5 years, and I've just took on a marketing team, and the process has been made so much easier. Like, and that took me a while to just let go and give people the reins on something. Like, it's like, I guess, like when you have a baby, you want to look after that baby, but if you're going on a night out, you have to give that baby to someone. Like, and it's the same with the clothing. Like, for things to move forward, you have to pick out the right people to help you, but also give them your baby, because
You don't want to let it go.
yeah, it's so hard. But once you start to let go, you see things. Like, I started this process about probably about 2-3 months ago. I gave Ash. We sat down and like literally said, "Look, what do you want to do within the business? I want to do this, this, and this." And I've just had to just give it him. It's the same with the marketers. Like, we made contact. We were talking over like 2 or 3 weeks. We had a few meetings, and then all of a sudden, like, right, are you ready to go? I am. We need this, 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 and this, and I've just had to give it them. But this month, like, it's been crazy, like, view wise,
It's
sale wise, and I believe it's because I have started to just learn to let go and let people do their jobs.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you on that, because like sometimes I'm sure, and I know from speaking to you before, you'll have felt this, is like you'll get burnout. Like if you try and do everything yourself, and I'm sure anyone who runs their own business, and it's like you're proud of it, like you want to be in control of it, you want to know what's going on. But sometimes, like you can work yourself to 150% of your capacity, and then like you'll just burn out, like
Yeah,
and
I
like
have. Have you experienced burnout?
oh yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
100.
it's horrible. Like, in
It,
fact, Black Friday just gone. So me and Ash, we shot the new bits. 'Cause we released a few samples and stuff. For about, I think I was on the ball for about 2 weeks. Got to Black Friday, we had a amazing weekend. I woke up for work on Monday, couldn't move, like, and I had to ring one of my friends. Like, I don't know what's wrong. I had the biggest high, but then woke up on the Monday morning, and I was done. And that was the
you just
first time I experienced it, and it took me probably 2 or 3 weeks to really get back to my normal self.
yeah, because I don't think people like I know we've said about this before as well. You don't switch off, like, and it's that mental exhaustion that's sometimes just in the back of your mind, that like what am I doing next, or what's the next 3 months like, or I've got to speak to this customer, or I need to speak to this supplier. And when you've got your own business on the go and you're working full time as well, it's
Hmm.
very easy to just let things
Yeah,
creep up on you, and it gets too much, doesn't it? So
yeah,
like, I think it's a good point that we made, that reaching out to the right person at the right time to ask for a bit of help sometimes can go a very long way.
yeah. And I think that's a good touch there. Like, when you are, like, I still work full time, obviously running the business, and you have to, some relationships, take fall over what you're doing. So, when you are going out for a meal, or like pre-lockdown, you are there, but then a certain part of you isn't, because you
Yeah,
are thinking about,
100%.
if you've been on holiday, if you're away for 7 days, like, everyone's like, yeah, you're having a really good time, which you are, but your
But
business mind is like, I'm 7 days behind. There's someone out there working that's had now gained 7 days on me, and that is hard to get used to, because you do have to take the time for yourself and other relationships, but also finding that balance is tremendously hard.
yeah, I think that's a good point with a lot of the talk on mental health at the moment, and like people's well-being, especially with being stuck inside for the best part of a year now. I think it's a good point to, like, know that you just need to switch off sometimes,
Hmm.
because that little break, that little, whatever it is, that little take your time out, just switch off for a minute, can just refresh and recharge it, and then makes you work a bit harder. But like, if you don't get to that point, then your work rate ends up going down because you're just not
Yeah,
in a good frame of mind.
yeah, and you can tell across the whole business as well that, you know when you're down, the business is down. So you do have to keep that, your mental strength. Uh, I have booked actually for all my birthdays in August, and I'm going away for a few days. Just 3 or 4 days, just to really, relax, recharge, and then come back. We've got a few bits releasing after my birthday, but that 3 or 4 days is going to be my recharge, go away, you know, just turn the phone off, turn the laptop off, and just come back a different person.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something I've experienced. Is that when, like something you said there, something I've felt as well, that where you think if you're taking a break, there's someone else coming for your spot, and especially music, that's a thing. Like, if you're not recording, if you're not releasing music, quite quickly someone else is. So
Yes.
it's very much the same there. That, like, you feel almost under pressure, but mostly under pressure from yourself. In a good way in some respects, about driving yourself to want to do better. But sometimes, like you say, you do have to just take that time to take stock and just think, right, I just need a little bit of a break to go again.
Yeah, and I think people like think it's really cool to work 24 hours a day, every day. And like, when I first started the business, I thought, I was staying up till like 2, 3 in the morning doing research because I thought it was cool. But then forgetting that I've got to be up at 7 to go to work, and then you get to work by 12 o'clock, you're flagging. Then you still got to do your work day. Then you get home and you still got to do like a bit of research, or you've got to email the factory. Like, you spread
It
your time
catches
very
up.
thin. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's not healthy. So like now, like, sometimes I'm in bed at like 9, half 9. You know, I'm not straight. I don't fall straight to sleep, but that's my like chill time. Then get in bed and relax. I'm either like, I'll spend half an hour on my phone, or I'll read a book, or watch a bit of TV, or just that's my downtime then.
wind down.
Yeah,
Do you think that, because, like, I know exactly what you're saying there, that do you think it's social media and Instagram that's played a part of making you think that you need to be working all the time, making you think, like, you see people saying, "Oh, I'm doing this, I'm grinding, blah blah blah," and
yeah.
you know the types that you see. Do you think that plays a part? Do you think
I
it's
think
subconsciously there?
I think in the early days it was, because Instagram, no one puts their failures on Instagram.
No.
So it's always like good times, happy times, or a business has done this and they've done really well. But what people don't understand is that, you know, there is a dark side to that, because you can't be happy all day every day. It's not,
No,
it's not
it's not
authentic.
possible.
No. So when people do, you see the guys like, oh, I've made 10 grand today. Come and sign up to my course and I'll help you do it in a week. It's not possible. So in the early days, I think it was driven by that, because you are looking on social media and you've got the guy and he's got the latest car, or he's got the latest this, the latest that. Now, now I've taken a step back, because I know not everyone's at this point, but when you do take a step back, you read between the lines. A lot of these social media people aren't actually killing it. You know, the A lot of things are rented, or aren't there. They don't obtain what they're actually talking about.
It's
So
very
when you
very easy to portray it, isn't it?
yeah,
And it's
where
very easy to believe it as well.
yeah, and people do, and, on Instagram you've got the best relationships, the best houses, but if you actually went to these people and looked behind the scenes, not everything is roses,
Rosie, yeah. It's like
so
people, like you said there, that people you only put the good things, the happy things on your social media because that's all you want people to see.
hmm
But like you say, like going back to mental health, that you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and over the past couple of years, that's definitely been prevalent in the news with different people and stuff, and what you see on social media, what you'll see people portray of themselves, and what they actually feel or what they actually do. It's two very different things.
massive, massive. And me and Ash have actually spoke about putting out, some of our hard times, because we're humans at the end of the day. We've made mistakes, but people don't see that side. So eventually, when we do start filming our days and stuff, we will be putting out, you know, not everything is as good as it seems. We will be putting our down days on, just to tell our customer that we are human and it's okay not to be okay all the time. So
Yeah,
just to
100%.
give them that human side of us as well.
And do you think another question that might be going back to the roots of your business, but is there some form of inspiration that you took from other people in business? Like, is there a designer? Is there a, not even fashion related, but is there a business person that you looked to when you were starting your brand, or even now still, that you try to emulate? Is there someone you could
Yeah,
pinpoint?
yeah. Do you know? I'm going to call him out actually. I did think about this, but do you know a guy called Steve Wing from
Uh,
Manchester?
yeah, I know the name. I know the
Yeah.
name.
So he, like, when we, because the business was actually started by me and someone else. A year later, it was just me. But there's a guy called Steve Wing, and we both, me and this other guy, admired what he was doing, because he always had, like, he used to wear like these leather jeans with like the oversized tee, or two oversized tees, so one was longer than the other, so the layering was impeccable. He had like uh, he always wore like the sickest bomber jacket, so he was always like really layered up. He was one of the first people with like a bun in his hair. uh, he had like tattoos, and he had a place called the Vault where he collected like all like the high end trainers, and he just used to put them on show. So he was a big inspiration on why we started the brand, because he was wearing all these high end clothes, but we couldn't obtain that. At the time I was working in retail part time. Uh, so the t-shirts he were wearing were like two, three, £400. Like, I couldn't afford that. So that's why we started the brand, is because we wanted to dress like him, but make things affordable. And obviously, as time goes on, your business changes slightly, and you change
Hmm.
like what you want to do. So yeah, but he was a big reason why we started Insubordinate, to be honest.
And what about now? Is there anyone that you look to now as a reference point, or is someone, like I say, it doesn't have to be fashion related? Is there someone in
Uh,
business that you think yeah, I like the way they operate. I like the way they work, or I like what they stand for.
I think one is got to be Elon. Like, phenomenal what he does, and what he's created and stuff is crazy. So I think it'd be stupid of me not to mention him.
Just for being
Uh,
outside the box and just completely going against the grain, isn't he? And
yeah, and he's done it from the beginning as well. I read a story the other day. Like, he actually tried to sell Tesla at one point, and now how much is it worth? You know, uh,
it's insane, isn't it? It's
yeah,
insane.
Jay-Z as well. Like, amazing person. And I just heard that he's bought all DMX's uh, like right, are they called rights?
Yeah, like the royalties to his music and
Royalties,
stuff.
yeah, and then give them to all his kids. Like, that's if I could do that, or could be in a position to do that, to really give back on that level, would be incredible. So there's, you know, I think when you do have your own brand, you fall in and out of who inspires you. And one thing as well that I'd like to say is that people always try and replicate the result when you should really replicate the hard
The
work.
groundwork. Yeah.
Yeah. And one person, there's one person that owns a brand in the UK that is all over that. If you just look at his stories, he's always working out, he's always doing something, you know. And I think if you can replicate that, your own business will flourish. So never ever copy the result, always the mindset.
Yeah, because I know we've spoke about this on before, but it's quite easy to only see the results and copy the end product and
Yeah.
the end thing. But like for them to get to that point has been a long process and a lot of hard work. And like you say,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's that bit that people don't see. But like you say, mindset is important and work rate is important, and people don't get like some people get a lot of luck, but a lot of the time it's a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, time before that to get to
Yeah.
the point where you want to be. And like I know we mentioned the other day when we spoke, is like cutting corners is just it doesn't
A
get you
massive
where you
no.
want to be. Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And people think like, oh, if I just do this, or if I can just jump ahead here, and sometimes you end up shooting yourself in the foot thinking
Massive.
I'll cut this corner. But like them mistakes and those learning processes are really important for how you go on going forward.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, just going back on that, that when you copy someone, that if you copy, Gucci, for example, Gucci are probably 2 years ahead. So by the time that you've actually done that, thank you, it's my mom. uh, by the time you've actually made that product and then put it on your own website, they've done sold all that. It's gone. If you for example, we're going to copy this blue T-shirt that I've made, like, we're about 6 months ahead. So by the time you've actually got the T-shirt, made the pattern, done the production, and then dyed it, we're already, we're probably another 8 months ahead, and you've gone back to that product. So you've got to be authentic in yourself, and I think
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
massive in this day and age, that a lot of people try and copy people. Where
And
if
I
you
think it's easy to get caught out now. I feel
massive,
like people especially with Instagram, with social media, with news being at your fingertips. Like if you start a brand and you copy someone directly, like it's not going to take long for people to figure it out, and it's not going to take people long to call you out, especially if someone's been doing it a lot longer than you and they've got a big business, they've got a lot of voices out there that can
yeah,
sound their opinion. So I think being authentic and using your own ideas, like you say, is very important.
yeah. I think going back as well, when you said, people cutting corners, like, you're if you cut corners, you don't learn that failure, so you will continue to fail at that point.
Is there
So
is there anything that you, looking back now, any of your mistakes or anything that you'd say to people starting their own brand, that is there anything that you've learned that you say I'm really glad this happened, or I'm really glad I actually made that mistake because it made me learn? Is there anything you can pick out from that?
Yeah, never. People have to show you. So when this is a big thing I've learned, that get people to show you what they can do, not just tell you. Because when I've on two examples I've got, actually, like the first ever factory I made the first t-shirts in, they talked a good game. So when you go and they walk you around the factory and the offices and stuff, and it seems like really good, but then when the t-shirts are actually made, they were shocking. And it was like, wow, you stuck now because you've got product and it's not what you
What you
expect.
want.
Yeah. And then I've also, like, at the beginning of this year, I was in transition, or probably the end of last year, so like December. I was in transition of actually changing from where the clothes have always been made to a new factory. Uh, and the new factory, great facilities, good people, uh, but they didn't do the whole process. So once I did a small run with them, but it had to go somewhere else to be cut, and then it had to go back and it had to be sewn. So that cutting process added a big bill onto the final cost, and
Cost.
there was no way to actually I can't expect my customer to pay that cost. So it was hard to really get that balance. But again, talk to a really good game. Uh, the clothes they produced for me were really good, but when people don't get the full collection, because a lot of some factories can actually make a full collection. Unfortunately, this factory, because it was costing that much to be made, it had to go back to where I originally made, the tees and the hoodies. So at that point, I explained, well, actually, you haven't got the full collection. You've just got part of it. She didn't want to do anything. So again, you have to, you have to really keep your wits about you and have multiple people that you can go to do certain things. So I think that's probably one of my big lessons. Actually get people to show you what they can do and not just tell you.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree because like it's quite easy for, especially when you get like emails of people sending you info, when you get some big blurb of I've worked with such and such, I've done X, Y, and Z, I've done whatever it may be, and that may be all well and good, but if there's no here's the evidence, here's the actual they might be able to do something, but it's not what you need them to do. And
Hmm.
it's all well and good, like you say, speaking a good game, but like I say, I think that's a very good point. Is that goes not just for fashion, it goes for anything really. If you're trying to work with someone on something, you've got to be able to see that they can do what you expect.
Yeah, and I think as well, like touching upon that, uh, you have to go and meet these people. You have to really be in the field. Like, there's no point just ordering, you know, half a roll to do, of cotton to do all your samples and then send it to the factory and, you know, email them all over the patterns and stuff. Like, actually go and meet these people because, you know, we're only doing this podcast because I reached out to you that time, about the blog and stuff, and then it's turned into this. But then it's the same with the fabric people. You build rapport with these people, and sometimes like when you start building these relationships, they put you in contact with other people, and then
Yeah,
them other people then put you in contact with other people, and it's you start to build this network of, you know, actually, my printer, for example, is on holiday for 2 weeks, but I've got a small run that I want to do, I can then go to another printer and have it done, or there's so many different occasions, or if where you get your zips from, they've sold out. Well, actually, I can call my factory because he actually knows someone that supplies zips, and you can get the zip in. Like, it sounds silly, but if you actually go out and talk and spend time with these people, you build that relationship, and it can really help your business.
yeah. This is a very good point and I think it's very easy for people in this day and age to drop a DM, drop an email, and like you say, it's not that personal. Like I know for the blog, I get lots of DMs all the time, and it's hard for people to stand out, or like people say, "Oh, I messaged you before about this," but I'm like, I don't remember you, but like when you've got that fit rapport, like you're like, oh, I actually know this person. Like I've
Yeah.
met this person. I've had a chat, had a meeting. It's a lot more personal. Whereas if you just fire off an email or a DM and then expect people to remember you or help you or do you a favor, it's not the same. And I
No.
think like it's very easy for people in this day and age to get suckered in of just like not being that personable anymore, not going out to meet people, not going to build those relationships and like you say the rapport with people, because like you say, like people know other people and your network's a growing circle. And like you say, if you like with your examples there with people, if you're after certain things and people can't help you because they haven't got it, but it's like then you're almost back to square one if you've got to go and find someone else yourself. But if they can help you,
Hmm.
then it's helping you help yourself as well, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, kind of thing, and it will like building that that relationship with anyone will always and sometimes it's not just them helping you. Sometimes you're helping them as well. Like I I've got a friend that started a hat company, and he was talking about I want to get some t-shirts done. I'll he's like one of my boys. So if he, wants that connect, I'll connect it. So again, it's not just them helping you all the time. Like when he's ready, I'll take him to the factory and be like, right, this is so and so. He does this, this, and this. Can you help him? And it's always taking them a new customer. I don't do that for everyone because not everyone is on. You know, not everyone's your boy, and some people are
Yeah,
just out to push themselves forward. But when you've got things like that, you can help certain people.
yeah, 100%. I agree because like I know for like the blog and stuff and reposting people's content, people reach out all the time, and I'm like, I get flooded and flooded and with like DMs and tags and people saying, oh, repost me or can you post me this, and I'm like, I have to be selective. I'm like, there are certain people that have been like you say, they've been helping me, like supporting my blog. They've been helping me with other stuff, and I have to say, like those people that I know personally, gonna have to come first,
Hmm.
like because they've helped me out loads of times. So it's only fair that I
Yeah,
return the
massive.
favor. But for
Yeah,
people that are just like, I know we spoke about this a bit yesterday, where people come to you asking for something and they don't bring anything to the table, and it's
yeah.
like, you're Joe Blogs from wherever. Why would I help you or give
Yeah.
you something
I
that
think
I've
this
worked
is
hard for?
this is big to touch on. Like people are always quick to reach out without building their worth. Like we've spoke about this before. Like I've had people in the DMs like, oh, can you send me a t-shirt? I can't just send any Tom, Dick, and Harry a t-shirt. Like why am I sending you a t-shirt? You know, you've reached out to me, you know, and you're asking for this, and this, and in return, all you're saying is, oh, I'm going to put it on my social. Okay, but I have customers that will actually not even message me, buy the t-shirt, and put it on their social. And that's without me asking. Because they're a fan of the brand. You can't just DM people and expect the world. Because we are running businesses.
Yeah,
And
it's you got to make money, and especially as being a small business and funding it all yourself. Like it, I think people see the facade on Instagram and think, oh, it's just a ASOS, it's just a pretty little thing. They're a big company. They can give me a t-shirt, and it's like I got it yesterday. Like someone reached out on the page and was like, oh, I really love your brand. I'd love to you send me a gifted product, and I'm like we're
one,
not
you're not a
a
brand.
brand,
Yeah,
and I always think like come on, like if you are an influencer or your PR or whatever, like surely you've got to say, look, I'd love to work with you, and at least know the brand you're asking to work with,
yeah,
like at least know that they've got a brand and they've got a product,
yeah,
but then come to the table and show them what like
what you
selling
can do.
yourself. Like
Yeah,
what do you offer? Because like I'm sure like obviously like ASOS and all those big companies have got PR agencies who have got a list of X, Y, and Z influencer who they know are the right people, are the right fit. But if you're going to reach out to a company and you're doing it off your own back, at least show like what you
yeah.
can offer. Show like, but I
I'm very big on building your worth. Like, we've literally just done a collaboration with a guy in Germany, and I reached out to him, saying he's only like a micro influencer. We jumped on a call, and he was really nice. We got on, uh, and I said, how much do you charge? He says, I'm not charging it. And I said, what do you mean? He was like, let me show you what I can do, and if we work together in the future, we can start, doing this or that. He said, but first, you know, send me the products. I'll show you what I can do. Uh, and I was really actually taken back from that because I've not actually had anyone, you know, say that. I've reached out to people and they've, you know, I charge 750 for a post, and I'm like, do you know what? As a business, as any business, do you know what you can do with £750? And people are
yeah,
charging that for just, for you to send them the garment. So you've got to send them the garment, depending on where they are in the world as well. You've got to pay all the shipping. You know, if they're in the EU, you've got to then pay the import duties, which at the minute is ridiculous. There's all these little costs you've got to pay, and then you've got to actually pay them, and all they're going to do is put it on, probably go to the car park, take a picture, and put it on their social. Like, it's people aren't very original.
yeah. It's and I think people have got to see it as like at the end of the day, it is a business. It's an ROI. Like
Mm.
if you're like, it's cost me 50 quid to make this t-shirt. If I send it to you, it's cost me another 30 quid fees, postage, the works, 80 quid. And if I send you this t-shirt, you post one picture in it, am I actually going to see that 80 quid again?
It's a
It's,
it's a
it's
big it's a big risk you have to take, and there's a few people that we've been working with, and you know what? I take my hat off because I have actually reached out to them, and every one of them has basically said, I don't really do collaborations, but I like where the brand is going, and one of them posted a picture. I think it was it Tuesday, blew the website up, absolutely blew the website up. That was just off one picture. Then I think it was yesterday the video went live. So again, that's had a big impact. So you have to like kind of
be
build your
selective.
own community,
Yeah,
and have these people because eventually they might reach out to you like, I'm thinking about doing this. Can you help me? Well, actually, I can because you've done this and this and this. You've built your worth, so now it's time to build mine. So again, scratch my back and I'll scratch yours.
yeah, 100%. Because like, and I bet, and I know we spoke about, and I bet you get it all the time with people saying, just reaching out to you and just be like, oh, send me a shirt, and it's like you wouldn't just reach out to someone and say, hey, give me 20 quid, because they'd look at you and be like, what do you mean? Like you wouldn't do it, would you? You wouldn't. So
No.
it's no different. I'd say you've always got to, for anyone that's going to be reaching out, at least come to the table and show what you can offer. Like say, and I always feel like when people reach out via DM, I don't know about you, but I don't like that because I feel like it's a bit small, a bit short. I feel like I'd rather people to drop me an email and say, hey, this is a bit about me, this is a bit of a background, this is what I can do. Whereas I feel like when people just literally just see your post pop up and they'll be like, oh, I'll just shoot my shot here, what can I get for free? And it's like,
Yeah, and that's the issue. Like, people are always expecting something for free, and you can't build a business off gifting everyone because if you did, you'd have no product left. you
yeah,
know, like you said, we are businesses, and at the end of the day, we only survive when people buy. And you do have to, gift certain people, and we've actually got a product in production, and we're going to be gifting our top 5 customers, just to say, thank you
thank
for
you.
keeping us afloat, basically. So you have to like take the pros and the cons of it, but yeah, like without being rude, like you can't just reach out to anyone and just like give me this because you know it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a good learning curve for people, because I suppose people don't always know the way to approach it, and that which is fair enough. Like, it's fair enough, but I always think that people should think, well, like, if someone messaged me this, what would I think? How would I
Hmm.
interpret this as if I was in their shoes?
Hmm.
Um, and like you say, it's got to be, when you're running a small business, you've got to be thinking, oh well, if I give this shirt away for free, is it actually going to drive, traffic to my site? Is it actually going to lead to more sales, or is it just, have I just chucked 50 quid in the air? Have I just
Yeah,
chucked some of my stock away for nothing?
yeah.
And
You do really have to look at like who you're working with. Uh, I wouldn't say so much following either, because following is good, but it's not always like the biggest thing. Their engagement. Are they engaged with their fans? Are they in a community? Because you've got little pockets in social media, like with brands, especially big brands that their followings are massive, and their small communities. They all interact with each other.
mm,
So if you're sending a product to someone and they're in that community, you know, you're not just giving them a product. They're introducing you to their community. You
yeah,
so you've really got to think about, is it good for the brand? Do you actually get on with this person? Like the guy that posted the picture the other day. We're in contact. Like every other day. How you doing? I've just been doing this. It's you start to build that friendship.
yeah.
And I know it is via like social media, but again, it's building that rapport with people. I would like to, you know, if people would like to like buy something, but they don't know, you know, about the sizing. Like my number is actually, I probably shouldn't say this, but my number is actually on the emails that go out. So if someone texts me saying, "Oh, I'm thinking about buying the vintage blue hoodie. I weigh this much, and I'm this tall. What size do you recommend?" I would generally text you back saying, I would go for this size. Or if someone DM'd me, I would generally just get back, and I always treat people how I would want to be treated.
I
So I
think
would.
that it's a massive thing, isn't it? It's a massive
Mm,
thing as a brand, and in customer service, and retaining those customers is like people. Like you say, you treat people how you want to be treated. Like, if you were thinking, oh, I want to buy a jacket from some big brand, and then you ask them about size and they ignore you, or they just they don't give you the help you need, then you're thinking, well, I'll just go somewhere else, because like there's
hmm
there's plenty of competition out there, and like you say, that I think what you said there about giving your top five customers um, a, a free product, like, that's going to make them think, like, this company values me, like.
Yeah.
And it's about retaining that business, that, because like, you can get X, Y, and Z from buy it from Selfridges or what, and that transaction is nothing. It's just your card in, boom, gone. But
hmm
like that, then people are actually going to be thinking, wow, like, this
Yeah.
business values me as a customer. I like the products, and like you say, building that rapport and relationships is important across the board.
Yeah, and in fact, I did email a guy. He ordered a few T-shirts the other day, and so with the new vintage ones, so like the red, the brown, and the blue, you should really like size up to to really get that true oversized that fit, the true oversized fit. So he'd ordered two vintage ones and an essential tee, all in the same size. So I just sent him a quick email saying, "Hey, where you've ordered these products with the vintage ones. I do recommend sizing up. Uh, Let me know if you do. I'll change the order and I'll ship it out today." Within an hour, he'd email me back saying, "Hey Darcy, phenomenal customer service. I can't believe you've reached out. Yeah, could I please size up? Uh, and yeah, I shall. I'm looking forward to receiving my order. Size this t-shirts up, pack the order, shipped it out. It's the little things that people respect. Like that. So and if a brand did that to me, I'd think, oh my god, like they actually do value me, and that's what I
Yeah.
want every customer to feel.
And then it's almost like you say, there's a lot of competition, and it's like, what's going to set you apart from, because like, if you put three t-shirt brands together and you based it on the product alone, you'd be like, well, it might be a little bit better material, it might be, but then it's that added value. It's that, what can I do that sets me as a business and a person above and beyond everyone else?
Yeah,
And
and
that,
even just going off that, like, you know, we're gonna really start showing like who we are as a brand. You know, we're actually gonna be like filming our full processes. You know, take basically everyone with us. So we've, you know, if we're going to a factory visit, we're gonna take it. We're gonna take the camera. We're gonna film it. You know, if we're gonna go to the, you know, the dye house, we're gonna film like the whole process. You know, and really actually show our customer that, you know, we're not just out here to, you know, put a logo on a t-shirt and sell it. We're really trying to make the best garments, you know, and every season, you know, we're going to try and introduce like a new product, and we're only going to introduce the new product once we've perfected it, you know. So
that,
when you receive that
that
piece, you know that we've been working on that for a set amount of months, and when it goes from us to yourselves, you know
spot on.
it's yeah, yeah.
So that leads me to my next question: is what is coming up for the brand? Like, what can we see for the, you know, the next couple of months, the rest of the year, the next couple of years? What are your plans that you
Well, this
that you
year
want to say, that is?
yeah, this year we've really going to concentrate on the marketing side of things, because you know you've got to have a big online presence. So that's what we're going to be concentrating on for the rest of the year. We've got a little summer capsule that's in sampling, so that'll be coming out. We've got a winter collection, which is kind of like halfway through. We're just doing like the graphics and stuff for it. We've got something. We may have something coming out, but not from that we've done, but not under our name. Can't really say too much about that, because if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that's in a process. We would love to do some pop-up shops and actually get to know our customer on like a different level, because like we're big like UK, America, and Germany. They're like our three big companies where most of our orders come from. So maybe do a pop-up shop in like London, or something like that.
Just touching on
America,
something you said there
yeah.
with collaborations. Is there anyone that is a brand that you'd have as a dream collaboration? Do you reckon? Is that something you've ever thought about, or
Yeah,
maybe not a brand, maybe not a brand itself, maybe a person, a designer, get their influence? Is that something that's ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, I would like to do actually. I'd like to do a collaboration with Reebok.
Really?
I know, yeah. Because me and Ash have spoke about this, and he's like, "Why Reebok?" But you know, like some of their trainers, like, I've got probably like 3 or 4 pairs of Reeboks, and I'd like to just put my own spin on. You know, like the new Legacies.
Yeah. Did you see? Have you seen that collaboration ASAP Nast did this week?
Yeah.
Well,
So they're sick. I've got a pair of the OG Ripple workout trainers. I've got like two pairs of them. They're sick. But I know, like, when you do design your own things, you know you could like take something out and put your own in. Like I
Put
think
your
I
own
could.
spin. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Would it would it be a full collection? Do you reckon, or would it just be footwear that you'd be interested in?
I think main footwear. If we got to that point and they're like, "Oh, do you want to do a collection?"
Yeah.
Obviously, like that would be different. But yeah, because Reebok are always, and I'm pretty sure at one point they were British made.
I'm not sure.
I'm sure I may be wrong on that, but I'm sure I've read that somewhere. So yeah, I'd love to do Reebok. That would be a sick one, because I think like
I've been reading that Adidas have been trying to sell them out. So if you get big enough, you might have to get the investment there.
Yeah, who's the? I wonder who the CEO is of Reebok.
I'm not sure, but I know Adidas is the parent company. Yeah, I'll leave the email in the description. Yeah, drop him a message.
Darcy at insubordinate.com. I'm waiting.
Because that, like, I know that's a big thing at the minute. I don't know how you feel about that, with brands and collaborations. That it happens a lot. I mean, I've seen this week there were rumours that Gucci and Balenciaga are doing a collaboration. I know that's the exact
Together.
look I did when I read it, and I was like,
Okay.
do you think the collaboration thing is a good thing? Do you think it's happening too much? Because I know I've been reading a lot of people saying like with sneaker collaborations, especially in America, that it's just happening too often. Like
It's a bit
it's
boring.
meaningless now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I agree. I think it's necessary, but not on the scale it is. Like I think it's like crowding the markets. If I'm honest, like you remember the Louis Vuitton and Supreme collaboration? Like I believe your collaborations should be on that level because
where it's
when you've got two fashion heads like that, you know, going together, you can only expect greatness. Where when you've got like loads of little spin-offs, like I had an email pop up the other day that a brand was doing a collaboration with Looney Tunes. Why? Like, why you do? There's just no need. So I do think
it's
it's
just
doesn't
becomes
need
a
to
gimmick,
happen.
doesn't it? If
Yeah, it's a bit, and it becomes boring. So
I
no, I
mean,
agree.
like I want. I think yeah, like you say, it has to be right. Like I've seen like Aimé Leon Dore and the New Balance collaboration that I think dropped yesterday. Like what Teddy does over at Aimé Leon Dore and he's going over to New Balance. I think like what they do is it makes sense and
Mhm.
bringing older New Balance silhouettes and making them relevant and it looks great. But then you see like you say where it's just a one brand slapped on another T-shirt collaboration and it's like did anyone need this? Did anyone
Yeah.
want this? Like, is this just gonna go in sale in a month's time? Like, it's got to
There
make
is one
sense, doesn't it?
brand. Uh, I don't want to mention it because they are massive, but they're always doing collaborations in America. I don't know if we're on the same wavelength here, but they're literally. I've seen them do collaborations with everyone. It begins with K.
You might have to drop me a WhatsApp on that one.
Okay, I'll drop it. But yeah, they're always doing collaborations with people, and I just think it does it not just get boring. It takes it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen
Yeah,
people say this as well.
yeah.
That where if they did their own standalone thing and kept it like that, I think it'd be good enough,
Mhm.
like really good enough. But like you say, people get when you do it too much, and people just think, oh, they can't differentiate between one and another, and
Yeah.
it's like, haven't they just done this? Or
You
are
want
they
to
doing
keep
it
your
again?
brand here, and then your collaborations like going around. So the main focus is still your brand. When you're doing like 10 collaborations a year, them collaborations start to take over your brand.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's like say finding that right balance where it makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, just looking at what other topics I wanted to chat over, and just a couple of ones before we wrap up.
Mhm.
Is that where with obviously everything that's gone on in the past year, the being inside, being in lockdown, how do you see that affecting fashion? Like, how do you think people's buying habits are now going to change? Do you think high street is going to ever be the same again? What what do you think is going to be the future of
I,
fashion, the
I
future of the
don't think
industry?
High Street's going to be the same. Uh, there's it's too original on High Street. You can't go anywhere and buy anything different. Like even in my town now, uh, a lot of like the big high streets like Tottenham, River Island, they're gone. Like they're. So in our little, we've got a little thing called Rope Walk, and it's practically empty. Or it's like charity shops and stuff like that. So I don't think High Street will ever recover. But on the good side to that is that small businesses like myself, not just within fashion, may be able to, get their pop up shops in. Just doing it for a week. Be there for a week. And then continue selling online. And again, it's good for the business. It's good for whoever's renting the space because they are getting, a bit of capital from that week. But then we're also, being able to link with our customers on a face to face level. Uh, Fashion, I think as we come out of the pandemic, I think it's going to boom. Like, I don't think you can take this back now. Like, from when we first went into lockdown to now, like, my business has been crazy. And when I say crazy, it's like on my scale of crazy, because we're still not a massive business, and there's still a lot of clothing brands out there bigger than what we are. But it has been a crazy year. Farm released the Shadow and Reborn T-shirt, what, nearly a year ago now, and then we've just dropped, a 10-piece collection. So we've come a long way in the space of the year. So I don't think.
Do you think it's just a cycle? Do you think it's just like with anything? There's recessions, there's peaks and troughs. Do you think this is just a new future, like pop-ups, maybe the way forward? Do you think like it needed a revitalization? I know it's people losing jobs, businesses going out of business is never good, but it'll come back around. Something else will come up. And do you feel that way? Like that's how it's going to be, or
What that like there had to be like a master reset kind of thing. Uh, for fashion, I think it needed to, because there's still like not a lot of people doing this on my level, where you do, you know, take control of the whole process, and we are sustainable because we only make what we can sell. I'm not going to order 500 t-shirts of one color and one logo on, because I'm not at that level. But there are bigger brands, that will just order that, and then they'll sit on them for a year and wait for them to sell out. That's not sustainable. The high street, where are they making all these clothes? Like, what are they damaging to get these low margins? There had to be a reset somewhere for fashion. I'm not talking about other industries because I don't really know, but especially for fashion and fast fashion, there had to be a break at some point.
so you think it might be like the break that the world needed to like
Yeah,
sort of take stock and think, can we keep doing this? Like,
yeah. Well,
should this be the way?
I'm sure, like, as well, like, you seen, like, during the pandemic, that in Venice, the seas were going clear, and they were seeing dolphins and stuff. Like, that's not happened for how many years? Like, there had to be resets within the world for us to move forward. But it's whether we are going to take that and stay on this level, or are people just going to go back to their old ways,
Go back.
basically? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good point about people, how we as a world consume, and how we learn. And I suppose like it's obviously the pandemic's been terrible for a lot of people who've lost their lives, jobs, you know, whole world's turned around. But I suppose if you as a world, if we don't learn from it, as if we say, right, has this been caused by our overconsumption? What can we take from it? And if we don't act and it happens again, then well,
Back to square one, aren't we?
back to square one. Who have we got to blame?
We've got to look at ourselves. There's no other way. Like, I don't know if you've watched. Is it Seaspiracy?
Yeah, I watched it last week.
Scared me.
It's mind-boggling. Like, you kind of think it goes on, and you kind of know that there's always dodgy stuff here and there, but until someone throws it in your face to say this is happening, like this is, and it's a big cycle, isn't it? Consumer, like, supply, demand.
Mm-hmm.
If there's someone there who's going to pay for it, there's someone there who's going to get it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's
Scary.
crazy. It's scary. It's crazy, and I think it needs things like that to make people realise that, okay, it might not be a little thing, or should I be throwing this away? Could I give this to charity? Could I reuse this? Do I need to go buy a new one? And it's just the little things that might make people just change those buying habits, to maybe think,
we
do
really
I
do need to look at ourselves, and what are we doing? And if 1,000 people look at their spending habits or throwing away habits differently, it's going to make a difference. you know. And I do think that, you know, as we move forward, as you know, as a human race, that people will start to look at things differently. Like even my mum, like now when she's buying things, like she'll come back home like, I bought this because, you know, they're not made of plastic, you know, and that's my mum feeding us like, I'm not doing this because it's got plastic in, you know. And then that's so when I'm going shopping, I'm looking at things like, oh well, is it got plastic in? Because if it has, I'm not buying it, you know. So that's that ripple effect. If, you know, every family's doing that, there's only, you know, we can start to move forward.
Yeah, it's about changing people's perception and awareness is a big thing. Like I think documentaries like that need to happen to say
I agree.
people think like, look, like, because like it's quite easy to just like everyone does it. You just go and buy it, chuck it away. You know, you don't even think about it when you're in your routine of, you know, and you need these things to come up with, like that fishing example of, you know, it's shocking. Some of the stuff on there is shocking, and
Mm-hmm.
like you say, that probably happens in the fashion industry, and you know, slave labor, unpaid labor, you know, in third world countries, garments made for next to nothing, and it'll eventually, you know, people will eventually find out. And
Yeah.
I mean, like with Primark and the strikes over the workers in Bangladesh not being paid fair wage, and
But that
when you
happens in
think,
England as well.
oh yeah, like
There's a there's a
we've seen that with,
there's a big factory in. I'm not going to say the name of the place, but there's a big factory not far from, you know, where I produce my stuff, and it, you know, I went to my factory and they were like, oh, you know, the factory down the road's been doing this, and I was like, what? They were like, oh, we can't believe it, and you know, they were shocked, you know, and then they're telling me like, oh, we can't believe that, you know, it's happening under our noses. So it's not. Things need to change.
yeah, it's, and I think that might be a good point to end on there. That we need to change, and like we need to think about our buying habits. And I think like you as your brand, you know, showing everything as British made, showing your processes, and I think that is probably the way forward for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is maybe like we said about consumer habits, buying habits, is maybe buying one piece of clothing that's a bit more expensive, but is that shirt going to last you 10 years?
This is what
Is it?
one thing I always, you know, even to like my circle of friends, like I probably shouldn't even say this, but someone will just go and spend £15 on a t-shirt, and you know, go and buy another one in 2 weeks. But oh, but yours are really expensive. I'm like, they're not. They're just quality. You know, like my t-shirts, they'll, you know, you'll be wearing them in 5 years. Like
Do you get what you pay
that's it.
for?
Yeah, you know. So when you're spending like £50 on 5 t-shirts, when I would personally, and this is why I sell them at my cost, is because, you know, I would spend £50 on one t-shirt if it's gonna last me.
100%. Like, and I think that's a good point to wrap on. A good point for it. It'd be good to hear people's feedback on what they think is the future of consumption, what people think is the way forward. Do we think fast fashion can continue the way it is? Or do we think it is a time for like smaller businesses and brands to
To rise.
take advantage of this moment?
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah, it'd be good for anyone to drop a comment. Just what are your thoughts? What do you think? Is there anything that you'd like Darcy to touch on? Like if you've got any questions for Darcy on his brand or what he's learned, like say by all means, I think you'd be happy to
yeah,
answer
reach
anyone's
out.
questions.
I'm always happy to answer people's questions, and I would like to say thanks for having me. To be honest, first podcast in the bag, so
No worries.
excited.
I appreciate it, and thank you so much for your time, bro.
Thank you,
Have a good day.
Andrew.